Hello everyone and welcome to this video in which I'm going to be solving an LRDI set from CAT 2024 slot 2. So this is the PAT-ES set in which we had been given two graphs, one of 2019, one of 2023, representing six firms, six companies, A, B, C, D, E, F. Along the x-axis, we have got employee strength, how many employees are working there, and along the y-axis, we have got PAT, which they call profit after taxes. So how much profit they have earned is being denoted by these points, which are present along the um, y-axis, and the value of the point along the x-axis will give you the employee strength. Now, what are the circles? The area of the circles are said to be directly proportional to PRD. PRD is percentage of PAT that has been spent on research and development. Percentage of the profit which has been spent on research and development is proportional to the area of the circles around the companies. So the set is actually pretty simple to understand except for the PRD part. So let me explain how to interpret the PRD part of the set. So let me take for example company A in 2019. So if you look at company A's circle in 2019, its center is at 3000 and it is kind of extending till 3200 on top and till 2800 at the bottom, which means I can say approximately the radius is about 200. So radius is 200, so which means area of the circle will be pi into 200 square. And that area is proportional to the percentage of PAT that is being spent on R&D. So the PAT for company A in 2019 is 3000 and the area of the circle is pi r square, pi into 200 square. So pi into 200 square by 100 into 3000, that is a percentage of the PAT that is being spent on R&D, and that is proportional to it. That this is not exactly the amount which is being spent on R&D, but there's a proportionality. There might be some kind of constant that we have to multiply with it, but at least we should be able to understand this formula we can use to find what is R&D spend, absolute R&D spend for every single company proportional to, right? So it is dependent upon the profit of after taxes, and it is also dependent upon the area of the circles. If you understand this set actually looks a bit complicated with all of these different jargon, different abbreviations which have been given, and the graph also looks very different, but actually the set ends up being a very simple set. And I'll show you why I'm saying that. Because let's look at question number 1. Question 1 says, assume that the annual rate of growth in PAT over the previous year, and they're calling this annual rate of growth as ARG, remained constant over the years for each of the six firms. So which means that if it's remaining constant, it means that every year on year growth is same across every single year. So from 2019 to 2020, whatever growth is happening, same growth is happening from 20 to 21, same growth is happening from 21 to 22, same from 22 to 23. So we have been asked that among A, B, C, and D, which had the highest ARG. Now see, if all the companies are growing only over this 4-year period, and if all of them are going to have uniform growth rate, then the average rate of growth and the absolute rate of growth will be directly related to each other. So I don't even have to calculate average. I just have to calculate the absolute growth rate that has happened from 2019 to 2023, because that divided by 4 will be average rate of growth for every single company. So whichever company has grown the most in absolute terms, that will have the highest possible growth rate. And that is what we're going to do for A, C, E, and F. If I calculate that, then I get for firm A in 2023, firm A, the PAT was 3,900, and firm A in 2019 was 3,000. So it has grown by 900. Similarly, firm B has grown by 1,000, firm C has grown by 600, firm D has grown by minus 1,500, firm E has grown by 1,100, and firm F has grown by 700. So for all of this, which is the maximum, of course, firm E is the maximum, and that's why option D will be the correct answer. It's as simple as that. It's basic subtraction. You have to find out the value of PAT in 2023. From that, you have to subtract the PAT of 2019. You don't have to calculate any average. So things like this makes the question seem difficult, like this ARG. ARG seems like I might have to apply compounded annual growth rate or simple annual growth rate, but that's not been asked. If absolute growth has been maximum, that means that average growth has also been maximum, because the same growth is happening over the course of the 4 years. So this is all that we have to understand to solve this question. So answer, of course, is option D, firm E. Let's look at question number 2. 2 is also kind of a simple question, but there's a small thing that we have to be careful about. Because in question 2, we have been asked the ratio of the amount of money spent by firm C on R&D in 2019 to that in 2023. So ratio of the amount spent by firm C on R&D in 19 to that spent in 2023. So in 2019, the area of the circle, the radius of the circle is 2400 to 2700, so 300, and the PAT is 2400. In 2023 for firm C, the PAT is 3000 and the radius of the circle is 3000 to 3200, so only 200. So if I want to calculate this ratio for 2019 versus 2023, then for 2019, see the radius is 300, so pi 300 square, as we had discussed before, to find out absolute R&D, pi 300 squared, that much percentage of 2400 is to for 2023 pi 200 square, because the radius is 200 here and PAT is 3000. So if I find out this ratio, if I simplify all of this, I'll get the answer as 9:5. It's a very simple calculation. So 9:5 will be the answer. Straightforward answer for question number 2. Right? So 2 is also kind of easy, provided we can figure out this formula that we discussed before for calculating absolute R&D spend from PRD. Number 3. Question number 3 of the same set says, which among the firms A, C, E, and F had the maximum PAT per employee? PAT per employee, very simple to understand. You have to divide the PAT by the employee strength. For example, for firm A in 2023, because they're asking only for 2023, make sure that you're looking at the correct graph, you're not looking at the wrong graph. For 2023, the PAT for firm A, for example, is 3900 and employee strength is 1300. So 3900 by 1300 will give me PAT per employee. So that will be 3. Like that for A, C, E, and F, if I calculate, then I'll get PAT per employee. For firm A is 3, firm C is 3.75, firm E is 2.5, firm F is 3.2. Simple division question. That's what makes this question or the set very easy. Clearly, firm C is maximum. So that's why they're asking for maximum. So answer will be, my bad, I ticked the wrong option here. Answer will be firm C. You get the eraser here. You need a small boo-boo. Yeah, so option A, firm C, will have the maximum PAT per employee. And last question is also pretty simple. It's not that complex. Question number 4 says, which among the firms C, D, E, and F had the least amount of R&D spend per employee in 2023? So in question number 2 itself, we had discussed how to apply that particular concept to find out proportionality of R&D spend. And that if we further divide by the employee strength, then I will be able to find out for C, D, E, and F how much is being spent in R&D. And although I will not get the absolute R&D spend, but because proportionality for all the companies is the same. So whichever spend is going to be proportional to a greater value, there we are spending more on R&D. Whichever firms is spend on R&D is going to be proportional to a lesser value, that's spending less on R&D. So the same formula if we apply for C, D, E, and F, and if we calculate, there's a calculation. I will leave the calculation up on the screen. You can check it for yourself. So basically for firm C, for example, the radius is, as we discussed, 200. The PAT is 3000. So the spend on R&D, the absolute spend on R&D will be pi r square by 100 into 3000. Percentage of 3000 we are calculating. And employee strength is 800. So per employee, I have to divide further by 800. So if I simplify that, I'll get pi into 1500 for firm C. I will get pi into 1200 for firm D. I'll get pi into 2250 for firm E. And for firm F, I'll get pi into 1280. Thing that we have to be careful about in this question is that we have been asked to find out which of these had the least amount of R&D spent. So far, in all the questions of this set, we have been asked for maximum amount of spends. It's the first question where we are being asked for least amount of spend. These are the kind of difficulties that this particular set is putting forth. Solving the set is very easy. Reading the question is very important. And making sure that which graph you're looking at is very important. Apart from that, calculation is very quick. I would characterize this as a sub 10-minute set. If someone can figure out how to use that text given for PRD to calculate what is the absolute R&D spend proportional to. Anyone who can do that can solve all 4 questions of the set very easily. So this is how to solve this set from slot 2 of CAT 2024. Hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for solutions of the remaining sets of CAT 24 LRDI section as well. Thank you.